Hello, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads, and it is time to finish the Readathon Rebellion, get to the finish line, and rescue our leader. The Readathon Rebellion is a fun board game style readathon happening throughout the month of September, and it is from Mel at Melanor Reads, who of course always comes out with wonderful things. So I'm really excited to continue on. If you missed my first installment, I will of course have that link for you, but long story short, I made it through the first two objectives on the map in that particular reading vlog for my first week of September. And now I just need to make it to the end. Seems easy enough. Sure, it's a little bit further to go. And sure, I'm only rolling one 6-sided die, so it could take a while, but we are hoping for good rolls, big numbers, and a lot of good reads along the way. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pull up the map, which I have on my handy dandy little tablet here, and my dice also on my little handy dandy tablet, and I am going to see what we get. Okay, we're zoomed into the second half of the map. It's a little intimidating, but you know, not too bad. Okay, ready, set, roll. 2. Not ideal, not starting off with a big number, but that takes us to a side quest, and let us see what that side quest will wind up being. Okay, I've got my screen recording going for my spinner wheel. I've got my side quest spinner wheel, and let's see what we get. Okay, weapon on the cover. That should not be too difficult. Let me see what I can come up with, and I will be back with you shortly. Okay, I actually know exactly what I'm going to do for this one, and I'm going to be a little creative with my approach to this. So this is a side quest prompt. So I'm going to keep my pick for this as a side quest read and pick again for the next one. And that is because the book I'm going to go for is A Time of Dread by John Gwynne. This is the next book we're reading for the Faith Follow Along, the current iteration of the Catch Up Book Club hosted by Becca at Becca in the Books. And the live show for this one is next weekend. So I do need to start reading this. But with these books, I really like sitting down with them, having them physically in front of me, listening to the audio, tabbing things up potentially. We'll see how this goes. This is his first book in a new trilogy, but I want to do this kind of a read a little bit at a time, each day type of thing, but it has a weapon on the cover. So I don't want to make myself speed through this in order to roll my next prompt. So what I'm going to do is make this my side quest book, and then we're going to go ahead and pick a second book. Okay, so pulling back up our map and getting back where we need to be zoomed in. All right, ready, set, and roll. A 1. This is not going well so far, but that's okay. That puts us back on info gathering. We did well with info gathering last time around. So let's see what our info gathering spinner wheel will bring us. All right, ready, set, spin. Use a coin toss to pick my next read. Okay, let's get that set up and let's turn some lights on here because I realize it's all of a sudden gotten really dark. So I'll be back. Okay, that took a little longer than I anticipated. The two books that I'm going to go for in the coin toss are very different. I've got Cinder House by Freya Marsk. This is a gifted copy I have from Tor. It's a nice short novella, and I know that it is a sapphic Cinderella retelling is my understanding. That's really all I know about this one. And then my other one is very much not a novella, and that is We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad. And this is a sequel, or some people have called it a prequel, or I don't know what, to Bunny by Mona Awad. This is a gifted copy I have from Simon & Schuster, and I'm a little bit wary going into this one to see how it goes. But I do also have the Simon audiobook for it, and I did enjoy Bunny originally on audio, so that's an option. So I have this coin, which I'm sure came out of a book box at some point. I don't know if this is going to show up at all, but one side's a head and then one side is crowns, but that's what we're going to try to use. And I think I'm going to say the head is Cinder because there is a human head on the cover. The other one, tails, is Bunny because it's just a bunch of weird symbols, and definitely weirdness goes along with the Bunny series. So I'm going to see if I can do this and not drop it and try to get somewhat of a flip on it. We'll see. Oh goodness, that did not work. There's going to be outtakes in this. Ready, set, flip. Yep, no. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, no, we're just going to count that, pick it up, flip it, and there we have it. Heads. Cinder House it is. Oh, I'm bad at that. Okay, so Cinder House is my first objective for info gathering, and beyond that, we shall see where we go from there, but I will check in with you. This is a novella. I don't know if I'll do a midway thoughts. Probably I should, but we'll see. And yeah, I'll let you know how it's going once I get going. Good morning. I need to be leaving for work. Actually, probably like 5 minutes ago I needed to have left for work. Let's put the tense properly. But I did want to do a quick update because this is such a short book. I started it this morning and I'm already a third of the way through. So I wanted to give a super quick introduction to the book and my initial thoughts. Like I mentioned, this is a Cinderella retelling. We are following Ella, except she's a ghost. In this story, she fell and died. It's pretty quickly obvious that something happened to her. This wasn't just an accident. And her father actually dies after her. She would have inherited the house. She didn't have a will, so her stepmother and stepsisters have the house. She is now haunting the house, and she's just present enough to still be Cinderella, to be doing their cleaning and their mending and taking care of the house. She's responsible, basically, for the house still, even after death. As we are starting this book, she's starting to realize that she can actually wander a little farther afield. She can enact things. She does her family's ordering for them, so she's able to get herself new books. Always important. She is learning that she's able to kind of get out of the house, although every midnight she goes back to the house. So I think we are kind of on a journey of trying to discover herself, her identity outside of this family. She is 16 when she dies, so still kind of YA-ish. I don't know if this is marketed as YA or adult, but I'm having a good time with it. It's obviously really quick to get through. I have this gifted copy from Tor. I also have the Macmillan audiobook that I've been listening to this morning while I'm getting ready for work. I like Ella. I can feel for her in this situation of being trapped. It does give an interesting twist to the Cinderella story of why she doesn't leave, because she can't, and I'm eager to continue. So, like I said, I'm keeping this short and sweet because it is such a short book, but I am eager to finish this up. I could almost even finish it on the way to work. This is only 130 pages in total. Like I said, I'm already a third of the way through and I haven't been listening for very, very long. So definitely by tonight I will have finished this and then we can pick a new book. Alrighty, I did indeed finish up last night Cinder House, and I did really enjoy this. I think I said earlier on that it was a sapphic retelling. It's not, it's a queer retelling. It's not purely women, but I think I mixed this up with another novella I'm reading this month. I think that's where that came in, but I really like the twist to the Cinderella story that we get in here. It hits the main beats. It hits the idea of the ball and the prince and the slippers and everything else in here really, really worked well. I think it had just interesting ways that the author had to maneuver around the fact that our main character is dead and a ghost. So I think all of that worked quite well. The character development was good. The different kind of motives that our stepmother and stepsisters have in here, the addition of magic beyond just the fairy godmother type character, I think all of that worked really well together, and this one's getting a good solid 4-star for me. With that, we need to figure out where we're going next. It would be ideal to get a bigger number on the roll, but we'll see what the dice has in mind. All right, let's see what we get this time and go ahead and roll. A 2. Not exactly what I was looking for in terms of big numbers, but you know, that's fine. Training it is. All right, that means we need to pull up our training spinner wheel and see what prompt we may get. Okay, screen recording and spin. Okay. Read a book where you resonate with the dedication. So that's going to take a little bit of time. Dig through some books. I'll be back. Okay, that took far too long. There are far too many books that don't have a dedication or just say to John. I did find one that was to the readers. I did consider that one. I had a few that had interesting quotes, but those aren't really dedications. So I did finally find one, and that is Very Bad Company by Emma Rosenblum. This is one that I received from Flatiron Books, and I received it after it was already out, but I did get an art copy. This one came out last year. This one said, for anyone who has ever had a crazy boss, felt out of the loop at work, or wanted to kill or marry a coworker. Definitely the first couple vanilla things in there, I can resonate with moments in my past. So this one's going to be the one. I'm going to go ahead and read it. I haven't heard anything about this one in a really long time, so I'm kind of going in a little bit blind. I think it is a thriller or a mystery, something along that. It says, in very bad company, we meet a team of wealthy executives on a retreat in Miami where the stakes are high and the drama even higher. So we'll see. And I'll check back in with you once I'm a good way into this one. Okay, I'm now halfway into Very Bad Company, and it is indeed, in every possible way, very bad company. The company in here, where we're having our kind of C-level executive retreat, is doing shady things. The staff of this company are all bad people. I don't think there's anyone in here I'm loving. There's a lot of cheating behavior, a lot of sex, a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, a lot of just bad behavior happening here. Not really getting anything work productive done, which goes back to it being a very bad company. The boss is definitely out there, and I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. It's really an easy read. I'm working on a crochet hat that I'm working on the ribbing for, and ribbing takes forever, so it's really easy to kind of listen and crochet. And currently, the bonus prompt for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do is to read a book while crafting. So my crochet plus audiobook of this one is a good combo. With that, I'm not sure where it's going. I had to recheck the synopsis to figure out what I could say, what I can't say. We learn from the synopsis, and obviously I'm halfway into the book, so I now know this, is one of their coworkers has gone missing. And there's been some mystery surrounding this. Obviously the fact that she's missing and no one knows where she is, but also some kind of cryptic comments she's made to people before she goes missing. And I am very curious what it is she knows and how this is going to come to light. The synopsis says everyone has secrets, because of course in this type of book that has to be true. There's also a reporter that's following them. There's a big deal for the company that's on the table that the reporter's kind of tracking, and potentially tracking some of the other drama going on amongst them. So I am curious about where this is going. I can see why the reviews on Goodreads aren't the best, but I am hopeful that it will still be at least an engaging read to finish up. It's only like 10:30 on Saturday morning. Another cup of coffee and some more crochet will get me through the rest of this book, and I'll be able to come back, pick a new book. And I do still need to start Time of Dread. I don't think I'm going to talk a ton about it in this vlog because there will be a live show for it, but I will keep you up to date on that too. So anyway, that's where we're at, and I'll check in with you later. Okay, I finished my book and my hat that I was crocheting, which I did not bring up with me. It is not at all weather appropriate, especially since it's warmer upstairs here. But it's done, and I'm now working on a scarf, a granny square scarf that'll go with it. And final thoughts on this one. I don't have a lot, in all honesty. I think it was decently entertaining, but there really wasn't a character I wanted to root for. They are all kind of bad people, some worse than others, but every time I would kind of find one, I'm like, okay, I'm jiving with this person a little bit better, and then they'd do something that would make me mad. The twists and turns in here, or the reveals, I guess I would call it, were fairly straightforward. They weren't things that I necessarily guessed in advance, but I don't think that with a book where I'm not super invested in the characters and not super finding it easy to know who is who at any given moment, I don't necessarily expect to be able to predict the reveals at the end or find myself caring that much. I think it was bad people, a bad company. Things ended a little too neatly for some people than I would have maybe liked. I don't know, but this one winds up being like a 3, a low 3 for me, but a 3. There wasn't anything super objectionable about it. It also just didn't stand out. But with that, my phone battery's about to die, so I need to do my rolls and my spins to figure out what comes next. Okay, so we're at training, we're rolling, and we get a 4. That's better. 1, 2, 3, 4 gets me more training. So let's get back up the training spinner wheel. I'm on 9% battery, so obviously I need to go plug in. And I think I'm gonna take a lunch break. I've got some chicken wings in the air fryer right now, hoping that turns out, what am I looking for? Spin the wheel. I need to screen record and pull back up training, and ready, set, and spin. Okay. This is one of the prompts that had different options depending on which order you've joined. I selected the order of the eye, or whatever Mel more so called it. I'm not remembering exactly. But the prompt for this one is to read a book featuring a supernatural element, which I definitely think I can pull off. So let us see what I decide to go with. Good morning. It is now Sunday. I did not come back to you with my book choice because it took me far too long to make a decision. And then I just spent the rest of my day kind of reading, and then I kind of hit a wall. I needed to sleep for a while, or at least lay down. So I took a nap, relaxed for a while, watched some YouTube, TV, stuff like that, and eventually got up, had dinner, watched some more, and went to bed. But I kind of stopped the reading train. But in the meantime, I did pick a book and I did make it 60% in. I actually went past the halfway point, and that is Bat Eater. This is the Evernight from Illumicrate edition. I don't have great lighting in here at the moment, but it is a really stunning edition. And it's one I've been very excited to actually pick up and read. So I'm happy to say it's going well so far. The full title of this one, I believe it's Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang, and we are following the main character, Cora, and she and her sister are living in the times of COVID. They are out toilet paper hunting, and they are trying to catch a subway to get back home. And somebody right in front of Cora comes up, shoves her sister in front of an oncoming train, and says the words Bat Eater. And this seems to be just another in a run of racist people blaming people who appear to be Asian for COVID. And they don't catch the guy. She's upset by it. She's traumatized by it, quite understandably. But she does kind of have to keep moving on with her life. And she gets a job as a crime scene cleaner, meaning after a crime has been committed, after the body is taken away, she and her coworkers go in and do the cleanup. It's bloody, it's gross, it's smelly, but it's a job where she kind of can protect herself underneath their protective clothing and make a living and live a life. She is noticing, though, that there is this trend that there are a lot of Asian female bodies that they are cleaning up after. But also there is something supernatural in here, the tie-in with our prompt, because I mean, look at the cover. You can tell there is something definitely not normal going on here. But she's noticing things in her apartment that go missing or aren't quite as she left them. She is seeing and hearing things, and I think this is doing really well the unsettling nature of what's going on around her, and also the commentary, the racism that she is facing. It's also touching on police violence against Black people and against, well, really anyone who's not white, and the kind of moment in time that 2020 was. This is set, I guess, kind of as COVID's reopening, and they do have the ability to go places that are newly reopened and things like that. But I think she's making some really good commentary, social commentary on that world, the world we're still living in, don't get me wrong, but definitely there was a lot that came out at that time that our character's confronting and mentioning, and it's being done in a way that's really well integrated into the story. So I am having a great time with this one. I am very intrigued to see where it's going to wind up. I feel like we got a lot of kind of the day-to-day normal life stuff at the beginning, which was unsettling enough as it was, but it's ramping up as the book goes further along. So I definitely will be finishing this up today so we can move on to our next prompt, and I'm having a great time while we're at it. So I do have the audiobook for this. I desperately need to embrace some of the cleaner vibes in here and get some house cleaning done. So that's the idea. Put this on my earbuds and then get some house chores done today, but also probably sit down and read with my coffee for a while. A little while has passed and I have now finished up Bat Eater, and I really thought this was fantastic. I think the author did a really good job of capturing the mid-COVID time period, all the various feelings going on in here. In her author note, she did talk about how this is focused on the Chinese American experience, because of course that's her own experience, and she didn't want to really comment too much on what other people were going through, but she does touch on different things that were going on in the world and the sentiment of her own grandparents, I think she said, having been alive during the concentration camps, and how disappointed they would be to see how things are happening in the present world. And I think this resonated on a lot of different levels. I like getting the kind of Chinese culture elements in here and their beliefs about ghosts and about ancestors who have passed on and paying tribute to them, and the idea of hungry ghosts and so forth, and how that played into the horror of this, in addition to the horror being kind of a social commentary in and of itself, and the more human horror side of it. I really liked our main character and her kind of depth of feeling about what happened to her sister, about her kind of split identity, because she doesn't have a knowledge of how how to fluently speak Chinese, and her sister did, and how she felt left out of some things with that, and kind of the push and pull of the two different sides of her family and their different religious beliefs. And I think there's just so much good going on in here. This was definitely a 5-star read for me. So we definitely got a win for this vlog. So with that, it is time to figure out what comes next. Hoping maybe we can roll a slightly bigger number. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and see what we get. All right, a 5. That's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brings me to another side quest, and that gets me really, really close to objective 3. So maybe we can get there on the next roll. Hopefully we can. The odds are in our favor, but we shall see, of course. Okay, let us bring up the spinner wheel next, and we will figure out what comes next. All right, my side quest spinner wheel. Ready, set, and let's spin. This should be easy. Read a book with a 4+ word title. I'm trying to think of what I have on my TBR and none of them are coming up in my head as a 4+ word. So give me a second. Okay, actually I do have something, and it is an ARC that I received, but also I just got the audiobook ARC from PRH Audio, and it's a short one. So it'll be good for multitasking today, getting a few more things accomplished. I need to order some groceries. I need to probably deal with some laundry and dishes, all those fun type of things. But this one is The Night That Finds Us All by John Horner Jacobs. And it has the tagline, "A troubled sailor, a 100-year-old sailboat, an ancient curse. Welcome to award-winning author John Horner Jacobs' nautical nightmare." Boat settings, to me, say isolated, which definitely can work for me. Things at sea have had a history of working well for me, so I do have good hope of this one. And it's only a little over a 7-hour audio, so it's a quick read as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this, and we'll check back in with you later. Okay, a little bit of time has passed and I am well past the halfway point in The Night That Finds Us All. And that is because I did indeed order groceries. The delivery came just as I was needing to come do an update. So I wound up continuing to listen to it while I put my groceries away, else they all melt because lots of frozen stuff. So with that, I am now, I think at 61%, 63%, somewhere around there. In this book, we're following Samantha, or Sam, and she has a boat of her own, but it needs a lot of work, which means she can't actually put it in the water currently. And she's chomping at the bit to get back out to sea, really. And to be able to make the money, she needs to fix up her boat and get back to work. She gets a call from an old friend who has a job offer for her, and it's a little bit of a weird one. There is a very large old ship that someone needs taken somewhere, and she has a particular knowledge of older engines, and she's being invited along to work on this trip because of that knowledge. She and the person kind of in charge don't get on so well. They've been in a fight before. They fought over a woman, I think, and that's not the best, but it pays well. It's going to be a good thing for her in the long run, she thinks. Her friend also warns her that the boat is supposedly haunted, but of course this kind of gets laughed off. But, you know, it's a horror book, so we know it really probably shouldn't have been laughed off. As the book actually opens, we are hearing from Samantha after everything has happened, and it appears she's the only one left alive, and she's not expecting to survive. I think it sounds like she's adrift at sea, and this prologue is basically her launching into her giving her narrative so she can leave it behind about everything that has happened and leave it behind for people to know. So far, I am really enjoying this. It's going very quickly. It is short, like I said earlier, I think. And I do like the isolated setting, kind of the spooky things that are happening. She's seeing things, she's hearing sounds that don't make sense at sea. The only thing that I'm not so keen on is that she's a recovering alcoholic, somewhat reluctantly recovering, I would say at this point in time. So she's a very unreliable narrator in that particular regard. Everyone kind of dismisses anything she says she saw as a hallucination, something tied to the drinking and the recovery from drinking and the detoxing. So there's some question there. We've got a potential relationship with another woman on board that she's never met before. We've got the friend who invited her on board. There's a little bit of a history there as well, I think. And I'm very intrigued to see where this is going to wind up going. There's a kind of written document that she's found on the ship with some history, and that doesn't always work the best for me, but it's not overtaking the present day story. So I am looking forward to finding out more from that and what we know about the past of the ship. So with all of that, I'm going to go ahead and and probably make some late lunch because ordering groceries, I kind of distracted myself from the fact that it's well past lunchtime at this point. So I probably should make lunch, continue reading, and I'll be back, I think, tonight or later this afternoon with final thoughts. Good morning. It is now Monday. Unfortunately, that means I have to go to work. But I did finish up last night, The Night That Finds Us All, and I generally had a good time with this one. If you're looking for a haunted, kind of shippy setting, this one does scratch that itch. We get a main character who I got more invested in as time went. She's messy. She's had some messy relationships with both men and women, with people she shouldn't have been with, hence the drama with the ship captain, the guy in charge of this expedition. And as things start to go badly on this ship, I think she does lock in a little bit better. I know I said the unreliable narrator thing can be a bit troublesome for me at times, I think, but I think here it made sense, and she's trying to deal with things. She's trying to deal with the alcohol, and as time goes, she's getting a little bit of a handle on things. I definitely felt for her in the situation she's in. She was in some really gross and difficult positions. The isolation of the setting really worked for me. The kind of off the rails weirdness of it I enjoyed as well. The book itself, there were a few places where I felt my attention drifting. I actually did go back and rewind and re-listen to big chunks of it because I felt like I had missed a little something, and I think that was a me attention thing, not a book thing. But I liked the way it ended. I liked the way it kind of threw a couple twists at me I didn't necessarily expect, and how things resolve. So in the end, this one's getting a really high 3.5, rounding to 4 for me on Goodreads. And it means we're starting off the week with a new roll. So let's pull up the map. Okay, so we're at side quest. If we roll anything except a 1, we will get to go to objective 3. So let's see what we get. A 1, because of course we did. Okay, all right. So we know our next 2 prompts then. We have info gathering, which we need to spin for, and then we know for sure that we're going to objective 3 next. So let me pull up my spinner wheel, and we've got info gathering, which I feel like this is where we started, I'm pretty sure, on week 1. Okay, read a book in 24 hours. That's definitely doable. With it being Monday, I know Mel's not going to hold you to the fact that you have to finish within those 24 hours. It's more about a book you think you can finish in 24 hours. But I want to try to challenge myself. So what I definitely need is an audiobook, and let me think about it for a minute and come right back. Okay, I definitely picked one up that I can get on audio. It actually just came in. My Libby hold for the audiobook just came through because my eyeball reading time is going to A Time of Dread, which I did officially start last night, and I'm already really enjoying. So that one is going to be taking my focused reading time in the evenings or mornings or whenever I can fit it in. So I need audiobook that I can do in the car, maybe do a little multitasking, and maybe do a little crafting tonight. And this one is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is one I know that her books work really well for me on audio. They always have great audiobooks, and it's only a 10-hour audio, so I'm thinking that will work quite well. This is a gifted copy I received from Valentine Books, and it's one I've been super excited to get to. So do I remember a whole lot about this? No, other than it's tied to the 1980s space shuttle program. It says it's about the extraordinary lengths we go to live and love beyond our limits. And we're following a woman, Joan, who has been obsessed with the stars. She's a professor of physics, and then she sees an ad looking for the first woman scientist to join NASA's space shuttle program. So that's really all I know going into this. Hopefully it's a productive reading day for Monday. I need to start this week strong and get caught up on some of my reading plans. So I'll check back in with you later on. I might not have a chance to do a midway depending on how things are going, and given my goal of hitting this at 24 hours, which means I basically need to finish it tonight, we'll see. But I will check in with you later either way. Hello friends! I'm being snuggled by a puppy who is very excited that I'm home from work. So am I. But I was going to give you an update, but we're just going to have to do it from here because I am now probably about 65-70% into my book. Kylie's just mad because she didn't get to listen to it with me today because I listened when I was away from her. Okay, she's decided for the moment to sit next to me. Let's see if I can give you somewhat of a coherent update. We are following Joan, and she hears from her sister that NASA's looking for women to become part of their space program. And she's really excited about this idea. She's very fascinated by the stars and everything else. Her life's a bit complicated. She has a sister who is very flaky. She got pregnant, dropped out of college, and pretty much she relies on Joan to help co-parent her daughter. And Joan does not complain about this. Her daughter is Joan's favorite person in the world, basically. She's 7 in the present day of this storyline. And I love that relationship they have, that aunt and niece relationship, that very close relationship, but it does cause complications to her life. On top of that, Joan is realizing she likes women, and this is in the 80s in NASA, where this is not something that would be allowed or approved of. So she is in a relationship with someone and having to keep that very secret. We are even more present day, following a space mission that is going on. Joan is on the ground. People she has been working with are up in a ship. They're deploying a satellite, and things aren't going smoothly. Don't want to go into too much detail there, but it's extremely action-packed and tense and a little bit scary what's going on with the whole space mission thing. And there are consequences. There are things that make me hurt for the characters. So gotta love that. I love the relationship that Joan is developing and the discussions we're getting from them. This is kind of her awakening to the fact that it's okay to like women, that it's who she is. Her partner has had more experience in that realm, but I really like that relationship. And again, we're getting a lot of really good discussions about things, about why they have to keep things secret, why NASA is the way NASA is, the relationships with their larger team and having to keep this secret from them as well. I think the characters in here are super well done so far. Like I said, it has a lot of good action, but then a lot of really good character-driven moments as well. So this is going good. I think Kylee needs some fetch time, but otherwise I am going to go ahead and continue on in this. I should definitely be able to finish this up tonight. I do want to put in a little bit of time with A Time of Dread, also because I made it a little bit of the way through. Again, I'm not going to give a lot of thoughts on this one because I'm saving that for the live show on Sunday. We shall see. I think this vlog is going to go up on Saturday, so the live show would be tomorrow in real time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to picking this back up this evening. So I'm throwing a frozen eggplant parmesan in the oven, and then I'm going to sit down with these 2 books, both of which are going well. So it seems like I'm going to have a good evening. It has been 24 hours and I have indeed finished up Atmosphere. I loved this book. This was definitely a top read of the year so far for me, or one of them. I wouldn't say the top necessarily, but I think this just worked for me on so many levels. I really appreciated the relationship in here, the struggles they were going through, the time and place of this and how that impacted things, the nature of having these 2 women who want to go to space, and that is the dream, but it also interferes with some of their dreams back at home. I really liked what wound up happening with the niece and the discussions there about what it means to be a mother, what it means to be a mother even if you're not the actual mother, and how that relationship between Frances and her aunt and between Frances and her aunt's partner wound up evolving. I really, really loved that as well. The space moments, the space mission that is not going well had a lot of tension to it, and I was absolutely on the edge of my seat for that and the resolution, and it got me emotional, which doesn't happen a whole lot in books. I think it didn't quite make me bawl, but I was getting close a couple times. So this is an easy 5-star read, and I'm so glad that this game made me pick it up. So with this one done, we do know, since the next spot on the board is Objective 3, sorry the neighbors are making noise and I don't really have time to wait for them to stop if you're hearing that, but I know that I have to do Objective 3 next, and the Rebellion's getting moving, we're jamming, we're going, and the next book has to be a book with a movement word in the title. So, the book that I'm going with, and I am hoping with everything in me that I enjoy, is A Dance of Lies by Brittany Arena. This is a really, really gorgeous, very loot edition, and the reason I am really, really hoping this one works for me is I'm using it for all the things this month. I'm using it for both buzzwords Readathon prompts, I'm using it for a magical readathon prompt, I'm using it for a prompt ball prompt, and a few other things besides. So it makes sense I might as well use it for a Readathon Rebellion prompt as well. This one, we are following a young woman who was once a dancer until he framed her for murder. It's been 2 years in shackles, and she's suddenly called back to see the king. He offers her a deal, poses as a dancer at the royal gathering, spy on the enemies, and he'll grant her freedom. So this one sounds like it could be really fun. I'm hopeful, and fingers crossed in all the possible ways that this goes well and is a quick read, because I really would like to get this log up this weekend. And it's already Tuesday, and I know at least I have one more book after this, but with the way dice have been treating me, it could be more than one. So let's go ahead and read this one, and I will check in with you later and see how it went. As seems to always happen when I have a objective and a timeline and a deadline in mind, I didn't have a great reading day yesterday. I kind of came home exhausted and just wanted to take a shower and go to bed. That was kind of the plan. And so basically that's what I did. Watched some TV in bed till I was ready to fall asleep and conked out. So not my ideal reading day, but that's okay. I have been making some slow and steady progress on A Dance of Lies. And we're not going to hold the book accountable for my lack of intent last night in reading, because I really wanted to pick this back up and A Time of Dread, and neither one happened. I am liking this one. I wish I was loving it a little bit more, but I am enjoying it. It has, I think, a good blend of a little bit of fantasy plot, a little bit of politics, a little bit of romance brewing, and definitely political intrigue going on as well. I really am enjoying kind of the dance aspects of this, and hearing about these dances. There's choreography involved. There's also a little bit of magic or kind of creations she's making that feed into like the illusions or the special effects of her dance. That sounds really interesting to hear about. The plot of this one is kind of basically what I said. There was a king. She was a dancer for this particular king. She was his favored person, and then she got framed for a murder, and the king knows full well she was with him when the murder must have occurred, but it was planted on her and he put her away in jail. And then a couple years have gone by. She's been in jail this whole time. This is not good on a dancer's body, obviously, and he calls her in. She's going to go to this festival of dancing where all these kingdoms come together, and this is going to give her opportunities to spy on people, do things to people, and all of this can be reported back to him. And if she goes through with all of this, she will be given her freedom. And she obviously has good motivation to do this. She's got nothing to lose, basically, and she has to really talk her way into this performance. She of course can't say she's been sent by the king, because that would kind of let people know what she's there for, but she goes in as a solo performer when that's not what they're looking for. She has to blow them away in spite of the fact that she has a broken down body and she has things that make her not the dancer she used to be. And I can't speak to the kind of chronic health issue rep in here. That is the prompt I'm using it for Magical Readathon. I've seen people go both ways, that they like the rep in here, that they don't like the rep in here, and all I can say to that is different people experience things differently. The author does talk in the beginning of this about the fact that she has chronic illness herself, so she's putting herself in ways into this story, and I really appreciate that we are getting that rep. I am finding this really interesting. I am finding the main character to be resilient and to be fighting back against what she's been told she needs to do. We're getting more backstory about where she comes from and her history and how she wound up where she wound up. Some of these things are factors that are coming into play in the present day story as well, which I am enjoying that little bit of intrigue and discovery and so forth. So I am interested to keep going. I basically am at the halfway point. I think now I'm at chapter 20, which is pretty close to the halfway point. So I think I should be able to finish this up today, and I am looking forward to putting this back up on my audio. It's definitely a great book for my commute. It's not a perfect book for multitasking with most of the stuff I need to get done at work, which also slowed me down a little bit yesterday, but hopefully I can make a good dent in this and then finish it off tonight. That's the plan, because I did not make any progress in A Time of Dread last night either, which I really need to do. So we're going to make today a better reading day, a better day overall, and I'll let you know how it goes later. Good morning, or at least morning parts, right? I did not sleep last night, or I did, but it was very broken up by me waking up constantly, and I don't know why. So coffee is going to be my best friend today. But in the meantime, last night, before the insomnia hit, I did make some progress on my reading. I made it a good way through A Time of Dread, which I am still really enjoying. I am on track to have that finished by the weekend. I don't know if I'll have it finished by the time I wrap up this vlog. We'll see, but it will be done by the end of the week. With that, I also finished up A Dance of Lies, and overall I liked this. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I have seen a lot of complaints about the chronic illness rep in here, and that it's less about chronic illness, it's more about being out of shape and being in pain because she was locked up in prison for a while, and I can kind of get that. It does come and go how much it's being addressed in here, and it is about her pain, but she powers through it. I can't speak to the rep in here. She herself is someone who has chronic pain, who has some conditions, and I defer to her that she's painting a picture that makes sense for her and that things are different for everyone, but I can also understand those complaints. I think what didn't work as well for me was the relationships in here. There's a couple love interests, and the way they get handled is a little bit more like she instantly falls for the one person and then something interferes with that relationship, so she switches to a different relationship, and it didn't feel very fluid to me. I'm not a love triangle person, so I'm not advocating for a love triangle, but it didn't even feel like a love triangle. It just felt like she was going back and forth, and it was more external forces putting barriers between her and the person than her making a conscious decision that this is not the relationship for me. I'm going to go with someone else. And for that reason, I didn't love that part as much. I also didn't realize this starts off a series. I mean, most fantasy does, but the ending is very much a what's going to happen next type of ending. And this isn't listed anywhere that I saw anyway. It's not on Goodreads as part of the series or anything. So I was a little disappointed to have to update my series tracker with yet another series. I would be curious to read and figure out what comes next. I don't love the trope that gets introduced at the end of this necessarily, but I'd be curious where it goes. I probably will listen to some reviews for this one or for the sequel if and when that comes and see how much I really remember of this one. By that time, given that there's no book announced or any information on a sequel, I don't know when that would be. So in the end, this one winds up being a low 3.5, a 3, definitely rounded down to a 3 for me, but I'm glad that I at least enjoyed it enough. I don't know necessarily that I'll keep this on my shelves or not. I haven't decided that part yet because it is super, super pretty, but I don't know. I'm happy that I was able to read it, that it read quickly, and let's move on. Okay, looking at the map, if we roll a 1 or a 2, we will have to spin again for a prompt. If we, as I really, really hope, roll a 3 or higher, we can go straight to the final objective, objective 4. So let's see what we get. A 5. Okay, perfect. I am really excited for this. I am definitely down to the wire in getting this vlog up in time. I am hopeful that my next book is also a win. So I know exactly what it will be. The final prompt to get us over the finish line with objective number 4 is to read a book that is fast-paced. You don't always know going into a book whether a book is going to be fast-paced or not, but I'm going with one that sounds like it should be. Maybe, hopefully, we shall see. But that is Chuck Tingle's Lucky Day. This is his new release, and this cover just truly is giving all the things. And as I was just picking it up, I realized there are flying pigs wearing human masks on the back. So that's interesting. In this one, we are following Vera. She was a former statistics professor and had her life in order. She had a fiance. She was coming out to her mother. She was celebrating the publication of a book. All things were going really, really well. And then something happened, something really wild. And it was called the low probability event. In this, 8 million people were killed in a single day, all of them dying in improbable, bizarre ways, strangled by balloon ropes, torn apart by exploding manhole covers, attacked by a chimpanzee wielding a typewriter. A day of freak accidents that proved anything is possible, no matter the odds. Luck is real now, and it's not always good. So I did start this last night. I was hopeful we'd get to this prompt, but I knew this was going to be my final book, regardless of whether I had to read something else first, and I am having a good time with it. The low probability event was just wild to read about. Not having read the synopsis for this going into this, it went from brunch with Vera's mom and fiance and friends to celebrate the book, to her and her mom being in the middle of this event and her just watching everything that happens and being absolutely terrorized by everything that happened around her. And many of those circumstances the synopsis mentioned, she's sitting there watching them happen, and it is bizarre and wild. And cut to present day, which is 4 years later, and she is living on her own, grieving losses, and just kind of cutting herself off from the world, contemplating suicide. This is definitely grief heavy and trigger warning-y for gore and violence and suicidal thoughts and the like. She is approached by someone who is looking into a casino that seems to defy statistics in terms of the luck people find there, and there is a concern that this may be tied to the other statistically impossible things that have happened. And that's basically where I'm up to. I am so intrigued to keep going on this one. It is a relatively short book, me being about a third of the way through. I think I'm around 80 pages in, maybe. Does that sound right? Yeah, that sounds about right. So I think this will be an easy finish up to finish up the Readathon Rebellion today. So this and coffee are going to keep me energized and moving today, and we'll see how the day goes. I should be back tonight, hopefully, and have some final thoughts for you. I did it. I completed the readathon. Well, kind of. I do still have like 150 to 200 pages left in A Time of Dread, but the live show for that is on Sunday, so we can just feel confident that I will have finished that one. But I did finish my final book aside from that one and wrapped up Chuck Tingle's Lucky Day on my way home from work. This one I had overall fun with. Did it meet the requirement in the end of being fast-paced? No, not really. It had a very fast-paced opener. Very weird, very much a lot of fun, a lot of gore, a lot of craziness happening in that opening section. But it does slow down quite a bit after that. I think my biggest issue with this book is just the pacing, that it didn't quite keep up a pace that I expected. There were really cool, weird moments, really cool kind of world-building-y type elements going on in here that I really, really liked. This is the Aardvark Special Edition, which I also really, really liked. It's got the foiling underneath there. I had the audiobook from Macmillan Audio gifted to me, and I think the audiobook was really well done also. I think our main character is going through a lot, and I think that was developed really well. There's definitely elements of talking about bi erasure because she is bisexual. There is definitely a lot of mental health stuff going on in here because she's traumatized. She's kind of cutting herself off from the world. This investigation she's going on kind of brings her back into the world a little bit, but she's still not sure how much she really is invested in the concept of being alive at all. And I think the progression of that throughout the book was really well done. In the end, I'm really glad that I read this. I really did enjoy it. I think the pacing issues knock it out of being a 5-star book for me. So I think I'm landing on a really strong 4, maybe 4.5. But overall, really glad that this readathon got me a chance to read a book right away when it came in from Aardvark. And I'm really glad to have read this and look forward to more from Chuck Tingle in the future. So with that, I am going to go ahead and wrap this vlog up here. Thank you so much to Mel at Eleanor Reads for creating this Readathon Rebellion. It has been so much fun playing through the board game. Mel wrote such a creative kind of storyline to go with this, to enact this rescue of our leader as chapter 1 in this rebellion. I can't wait to see what she brings us next year for another session. So let me know in the comments below, have you been part of the rebellion? What has been your top read, or what's been your most recent favorite read in general? And if you've made it this far and you don't have anything to comment, leave me some sort of a card related emoji, a diamond, a heart, a spade, something along those lines. Anything that kind of goes with this wild and wacky cover for Lucky Day. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it, and subscribe if you're interested in more of my readathon reading, more of my book reviews, and more of my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll leave you here and see you real soon in a new video.